One of my best jobs was a 2-week, was it 2 weeks? How long was it? About a week. Job in Mexico. So we got flown out to Mexico on the beaches. We were working on the beaches for a week and we went into the jungle for a bit. There are definitely some key information that people who are looking into this career path really would benefit from knowing.
Welcome to the Future Under Construction, the podcast where we delve into the career journeys of professionals to get an idea of what it takes to succeed in those professions, to be able to help the future generation to be able to make informed decisions and to be able to succeed in those careers. Today we are in Wisbech. We are speaking to Nicki Howell, who is a professional makeup artist and having had a career spanning many years, has dealt with people in fashion, dealt with celebrities in many industries, whether it be sport or on the catwalk. She has a very interesting story to tell, and this is her story. Nicole.
Hi.
Makeup artist.
Yes.
How did you get into that? Was it something that you had in you when you were a child?
No, was the answer to that. I remember loving art at school, but I was never that good at it. So I still can't draw very well at all. Like even my stick men are a bit of a challenge. But I wanted a career that I loved. I wanted a career that I was looking forward to Monday mornings, not, loathing them. And I was lucky enough to kind of fall into modelling when I was about 17, 18. My friend had sent a picture to a competition without telling me, and I came second. And it got me thinking, and I thought, maybe I can earn a bit of money while I was at university. And so I looked into modelling, and I became a plus size model, which is typically a size 14 plus, but I was too small to be big, but I was too big to be small. So I kind of floated in the middle a little bit. But I think it found me my career, which was a makeup artist. And I remember watching a makeup artist one day at work and thinking, you've got really, you turn up to work and you get to mess around with makeup and do someone's hair and chat. And it's all very easy, relaxed, very little pressure. And you have a really nice lunch put on for you. And you get to go home with about £250 in your pocket at the end of the day. And I thought, I think I like the sound of that. I can do that. So that was it, really. My mind was made up.
So you wouldn't say there was anything in your upbringing that would have influenced you to go that direction?
Literally only the conversation that my granddad said, take a job you love. And I looked into journalism. I looked into law because my favourite subjects at school were English, history, and then later when I went to university, because I still hadn't decided by the time I was in my 4th year at university before I decided what I actually wanted to do. And I did a business degree. and then I went the other way and I went into the arts, and which was a surprise as well because I was never very good at art at school. So I'm a good example of don't do what you're good at, do what you enjoy, because actually if you love it, you will, you'll get good at, your career.
Would you say in that particular case, had you had career development conversations, meeting people in the different fields or having access to information in the different types of fields, that would have at least helped you make a decision before spending 4 years doing a business degree and eventually moving on to the arts?
I think looking back, I wouldn't have done it any other way because I'm actually using my business degree now because I've now, to jump the story ahead a little bit, I'm now working on developing my own makeup range. So I need the business aspect. So actually it's worked out very, very well. And it wasn't an obvious career choice because you don't tend to think that those dreamy type jobs, or the glamorous sounding jobs, not that it's that glamorous at all. You don't tend to think that they're going to be the good, solid, stable jobs that you're kind of encouraged to search for.
Mm-hmm.
So my work experience choices were at a barrister's chambers in the Inner Temple in London, which I loved. But what I didn't like about that was, and maybe I was misinformed, but it was a good thing at the time. I thought that you had to prosecute or defend depending on who showed up on your doorstep and what they needed, rather than what you opted for.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching a case in the Old Bailey and thinking, I can't do this. I can't put someone through, that. So that was it. I sort of turned my back on law temporarily. And then I looked at journalism, but that never grabbed me enough to really pursue that, even though English was my favourite subject, or best subject at school, I should say. But art was really the subject at school that I would miss my lunch breaks and stay in the art class to finish because I enjoyed it so much. So, yeah.
So progressing from, being a model, seeing the arts, makeup artists, work on people, so that would have been your biggest influence. How then did you progress from there? Obviously, for you to have got into the industry of makeup artist, there is probably some steps you'd need to take. Obviously, there will also need to be I would assume, a portfolio where you'd say,
yeah. There are definitely some key information that people who are looking into this career path really would benefit from knowing. So for me, because I'd been a model, I almost knew it all while I was choosing this career, because I knew what was expected. I knew what the days were looking like. I knew what you had to do. And so I had a little bit of try before you buy experience, which was really great. And then when I went to, once I decided on the career option, I was like, okay, now I need the training, because at that stage, it was very overwhelming looking at what a makeup artist did, choosing colors and getting it right for the person's skin color, no matter what, color they were, seemed to me so overwhelming. So I went for some training, and I'd already decided that I wanted to go down the kind of more fashion route because that's what I was used to. And it's worth noting that you've got two kind of avenues with makeup. You've got more the fashion celebrity side, and then you've got more the TV film side, or the film side. And it's very, very different, especially in terms of the working hours. The fashion is very much you go in for the day and head off again at the end of the day. It's very much the same sort of hours, daylight hours, unless you're doing a night shoot, which is, happens, but it is quite rare. Whereas film and TV work, you're often up at 3 a.m. You have a taxi picking you up at 4 a.m. to get you on set for 6 a.m. You could be traveling for quite a few hours. You could be staying in hotels all the time. And you might be working for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, literally almost every single day. I didn't do the TV option. I did the fashion option purely because it's just the way it went for me. And I also had animals at home. So it suited me to be able to go home and have the kind of almost 9 to 5 hours for me and my sort of career. So that's the first thing. Know whether it's the TV thing that appeals to you or the fashion celebrity stuff. And then the schooling, I ended up actually becoming a makeup artist trainer. So I had my own makeup school for 16 years in central London, because the teaching thing was really quite something I loved doing, and I was really good at teaching people. So I would train people from scratch to become professional hair and makeup artists with a very comprehensive training. And that is what I kind of specialized in. So I still did the work in the fashion industry and the celebrity industry, but for me, it was very much the training that became my forte, I guess you could say.
But what was it like meeting celebrities? And I would assume you'd need to get to that point, at least, where you divorce yourself from the glamour and the stars, being starstruck, to be able to carry out your work without having, jitters.
Yeah. So I think it gets to a stage where you only get to work on the celebrities when you're actually quite good. You know, they don't let you near them otherwise. It's like you've been tried and tested, you're maybe with an agent. Usually that's how you get into the celebrity work, you're with an agency. And the competition is very high, so the agency don't take you on unless you're actually pretty good. So I have been represented by Carol Hayes Management, Models One. I think I've been through a few agencies. Because you kind of go around to see where you really gel, and you know it's quite important that your agent really likes you and can work well for you, and you really suit them, because they have maybe 30, 40 artists on their books. You kind of have to have a little bit of a niche, or at least a style that stands out a little bit. So for me, I did a lot of the celebrities, and it was very much, they're just regular people, you know. I don't really get starstruck. I actually was more starstruck when I met people when in other environments. So I've met Dustin Hoffman when I was working, but I wasn't working on him. And most of the time I was actually, and a lot, I've worked on a lot of the Formula One teams, including, I'll make sure I get his name right, Michael Schumacher.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just remember thinking, he lived in Monaco at the time. Obviously, I think he just retired. It's quite some time ago. And I just remember thinking, wow, you look like you're a millionaire that lives a holiday lifestyle. He was very, he oozed good health, as did Dustin Hoffman. So it was more that, and it's more, oh, you're really nice, or, you know, maybe they're not so nice. But it's just like meeting regular people. Sometimes you like them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get on really well with them. I remember doing Lee Mack, the comedian's makeup, and we got on really, really well. And we were laughing most of the time. But yeah, so it's just kind of part of the job. Once you've done it a few times, you're there to do a job. And it's kind of like, oh, you know, the changing element of the day is who you're going to work on today, or things like that. I have a funny story that I was sent to do a makeup grooming for a male singer, but we didn't know anything about it. I was told it was a male grooming job. That was it. So I turned up on set and I met this celebrity, and I didn't have a clue who he was because he was just sort of coming out in the UK. And the whole team actually didn't really know who he was. He was so big profile, they didn't tell anyone who he was. And he was getting quite maybe miffed that no one knew who he was. And we were all like, we know you're big. And he's talking about his lunches with Madonna and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay, I know you're big, but I don't know who you are. And in the end, they put on his albums, and while we were working, and, you know, and he was like, this is really good. Okay, I don't know who you are, but, you know, the music was great. So that was quite funny. You get funny stories like that.
Would you say there's been at any point in the career where you questioned whether you should have taken this off, or?
No, although for me, because the teaching was more of a thing for me, I just got further into the product manufacturing side of things, because I saw sort of these big niches in the market, and I was thinking, there's a niche in the makeup industry, like can that be happening? And I actually found two. So I ended up thinking, and my clients would often ask me for the makeup I was doing. I was like, I can't give it to you, I've just made it for you, sort of thing. And they're like, but I really need it, I really, you know. So I ended up sort of turning my attention, saying, you know, I have to make this stuff now. So no, I think the thing is that you need to know before you decide that you want a career in makeup, you have to have certain skills. And this is really the important thing. So you have to be quite a confident person. You have to be able to travel all over, the country, the city, and the world. You're often sent to other countries, and you have to get buses and trains, and you might not talk the language. And now with smartphones, we didn't have smartphones when I was sort of, it shows how old I am. When I was sort of starting out, so I'd have to sort of get across Italy and make buses and coaches and not speak the language at all. So you have to be quite confident and navigating situations like that. You have to turn up on time to different locations every single day that you've never been to before. You have to be able to work with people even when they're not having their best day and not take it personally or not, not react. That's really quite an important skill. And you have to be a team player. You have to be able to deal with divas. Not that it happens that often, but when it does happen, because you become the glue that keeps it together. If you lose it, then it's not gonna. Okay. Yeah,
that's good. So in terms of your most exciting, I know you mentioned a couple of celebrities that you just met, but who's I would say the best you've worked on, who you've got on most with?
I have to probably say Lee Mack. We had it was really funny, really, really nice. But there are, so many, mostly it's when you have a project that you're working on and you love it and you're so happy with the work you've produced and the model is great and the whole styling, it's just a fab shoot. And then you're really looking forward to getting those prints at the end of when they're published in the magazine or however, it works out. One of my best jobs was a 2-week, was it 2 weeks? How long was it? About a week. Job in Mexico. So we got flown out to Mexico on the beaches. We were working on the beaches for a week and we went into the jungle for a bit and it was great. It was just, it was a really lovely time. So yeah, you do get these odd jobs that are just like, pinch me. Am I really doing this? It's great.
Would you say that somebody who is looking to go into this needs a mentor of sorts to be able to understand and navigate, at least prior to them actually taking the leap?
I think the biggest thing to know is the things that you don't hear on YouTube and you don't see when you're watching it on TV because it just doesn't come up. And that is that when you're a makeup artist, it's similar to being like a photographer and a videographer. In the beginning, while you're trying to develop your portfolio, you do a lot of working for free, a lot, most of it. And this is in the makeup, in the fashion industry, we call it testing. So you basically will hook up with a photographer and a stylist that you're all about the same level. You're all wanting to develop your portfolio and you say, okay, I want to test. Who's got an idea? And it may be the photographer has the idea or the makeup artist or the stylist is like, I've got access to some great clothes. Let's shoot a test as well at the weekend before I have to give them back on, Monday morning sort of thing. And you'll all come together and collaborate and no one will get paid for it, but no one will pay for it either, Everyone will just put in their services. And it might be an outdoor shoot or the studio, the photographer may have access to a studio that he can use for free. And then at the end of the day, not literally speaking, but at the end of the job, the photographer will call you all and say, I've got the shots in, come and, this is what I've selected and edited and these are the shots. And then you put them in your portfolio. And then as that increases and you get better and better, then you can go around with your portfolio and start showing. We used to this is before the internet was really a big thing. We used to have physical portfolios and you'd have to traipse into someone's office and show them your portfolio and they're flicking through it for 30 seconds and that's it. You'd be out the door and that was it. But that's how it worked then. Now everything's online and you just pretty much get a call to say, you've got a job tomorrow. Off you go. But that element of don't think that you're going to train and then go out and start getting paid work the next day. It doesn't work like that. Look at spending 2 years. It won't be that long generally, but look at spending 2 years without earning anything, which is not what people expect when they have finished training and spent all their money on a kit and gone out there, spent their money on a course and gone out there to try and work. They don't expect to work for free, but that is how the industry works. And if you can get through that stage, then the work will come in, the money will come in, and you'll do all right. Yeah.
In recent times, there's been a move, with advancement in technology and AI and everything. I've seen quite a lot of people doing a lot of editing and photoshopping and how does that fit into the whole makeup artist industry? Because you're there trying to create a specific image, and somebody takes that image and goes and does something with it that's not the vision that you had. How does that then,
Well, that can happen sort of in traditional stuff as well, because you can always, ever since computer editing over images came onto the scene, you've always had an element of somebody else having control over your work, unless it's a test and unless you're working for free, and you can have a little bit more of a say in how you want things to be. But if you're not the one taking the pictures, you don't own them, including taking the footage if it's, video work. So you have to trust the situation you get into. But with the sort of, coming of the scene onto AI, I think what's going to happen is most people will be like, okay, we don't have to do it this way. We choose to do it this way. We choose to use talent. We choose to use handcrafted results. We choose to, because otherwise, what would you do? This is more about enjoying collaboration and enjoying going out with it on a scene. Maybe you're going to a beach or the city or, a forest or whatever. And you're choosing to make that project a reality rather than just putting into a computer, I want to see this image in here, there and everywhere. So it's good in a way because it's going to make people have to up their game. But creativity is endless. You can always create something that AI can't, because especially with makeup, it's just one of those things that a makeup artist can, with a couple of strokes, change something. And it's harder to explain it with AI. That the human eye and the human judgment a makeup artist has still, I think, has the advantage over AI. But it will mean that maybe only the best people will stick through and make it. But that's not a reason to give up. If it's what you love, you can, because there's the wedding industry as well. The wedding industry, you can't have AI do a bride's makeup or fashion catwalks. You still need physical makeup artists to make the physical models look good for the physical catwalk. So and TV and film, there's still going to be a lot of work in that for a long time. I think people should be, they're just going to need to be a little bit more creative or a little bit better, but that's okay.
So it's about passion, I think.
Definitely.
It's about passion more than anything, rather than looking to make money out of it, especially at the beginning. From the way you put it across, it's more about you enjoying the process rather than trying to become a millionaire from the process.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably go out and get paid bridal makeup, which is very good, very quickly. But if you're talking like, I want to do fashion and celebrity work, that's going to take some time. And as long as you're prepared for that, 2 years will fly by, especially when you're enjoying what you do. It'll feel like, a year. So
that's good. At least, because the whole idea is to ensure that people have options, to make sure that they understand that this is an option, but understanding the option, also understanding what the pitfalls are, and understanding, okay, I have the reality of what somebody who's actually walked the walk, having given me some advice. And I think that's the whole goal, really, of the whole podcast, is for people to understand that, look, I have an option. This is the option, but this is the reality of it.
Let's find out.
And am I prepared for it? And making an informed decision based on that information. Absolutely
crucial, yeah. And again, for the TV industry and the film industry, it may be a lot sooner that you get a junior position on a production, and there is a small fee. You maybe be on £50 a day or £25 a day or something like that. But you're getting your name out there. You're becoming known. If you should never see it that you're working for free, you will always be getting something of value in return. It's just that in the beginning, if you're thinking about putting sort of, notes in your purse or your pocket, it's not going to be as obvious that, or, you won't be remunerated in that way straight away. So as long as that people understand that, that's the biggest thing that people go, oh, okay. But once they've got down with that, just see it as an apprenticeship, really.
Yeah, actually, come to think of it, it does sound like more of an apprenticeship than anything.
There's one more thing I need to mention. In the beginning, you will often do assisting work. So that is where you might phone up an agency and say, I'd like to assist, and it is for free. You know, maybe you'll have the travel expenses covered, maybe you won't. But again, that is very sought after because they know that once they have had you as an assistant and you're good, as your portfolio gets better, you're already exposed to an agency or you're already exposed to an artist who, what happens is then when they get a little bit busy and they have clients that maybe are smaller paid or less frequent or less desirable jobs, they'll give it to the assistant because they've kind of trained them as well and they've watched them and coached them and they'll give them things to do. And that is much more like a traditional apprenticeship situation. So that's another option for people to do, especially in the fashion industry, you know.
Oh, thank you for that. Actually, I never thought of it that way. It's because I've always thought of, you know, the traditional, you know, you go to school, you learn how to do something, you apply for a job and, you know, you get the job. Apprenticeships have always, I've never looked into them, to be honest. And I do understand the concept, but I really never thought of, you know, pursuing one myself.
From what I know of them, and obviously makeup is a slightly different apprenticeship style experience than a traditional apprenticeship, but they're incredible. I think they're very, very valuable, extremely valuable. And I would definitely encourage people to, if they can, get that position with anyone. The more the merrier, because sometimes I said it's not, I would tell my students, sometimes it's not about what you can learn. It's sometimes seeing it done wrong and saying, oh, look what's happened there. You know, you learn by mistakes, no matter whose mistakes they are. So don't go, oh, I don't think this makeup artist is that good for me to be assisting for free and, you know, leaving my day that's valuable. But you will, if you get out what you put in.
So as we come to the end of our podcast, looking at a 17, 18-year-old in the school right now who's trying to make up their mind about what they want to do, and makeup artist is on their list, what would you say to encourage them?
It is a self-employed industry, so the money is not regular. It's not, or it can be irregular. It can be unreliable. It can have ups and downs. You don't get paid holidays or paid sick leave. You need to be quite a healthy person. You need to be have a good positive work attitude. You know, if you've got a bit of a cold or a bit of a headache, you can't phone up and call in sick. Calling in sick on a job like that is kind of career death. Unless you really physically cannot get up, but find a couple of other makeup artists that will help you cover, because you're helping them. They might have a quiet day and they'd love to do the job, and the client will come back to you if you've not been able to turn up from the job yourself, but you found them a replacement. It's as good as you turned up. You know, they will love that they can rely on you. So that's the thing. So the whole self-employment thing, it's good to get clued up with that, and that in all aspects. And that's where you do need a little bit of a business head, not much, but you do need to, take that into consideration. You need to be able to keep expenses accounts and work out, what you're spending, what you're having come in, and you will need to be able to do invoices for people. So you need to be a little bit PC, computer literate, to be able to produce an invoice and keep invoice records, and then have to chase people up for money sometimes. Sometimes it can be 90 days before you get paid on a job. So even when you do start earning, you might have a 3-month period where you don't see that money coming in for some time. So yeah, the self-employed thing is a very important element too. But that said, you could be so busy that you'll run off your feet literally, and you have to, book time out and have your holidays and stuff. What else is there? The education you have, keep practicing. Practice on anyone, apart from like your cat or your dog. Practice on anyone, practice on yourself. I used to give my students tear sheets from magazines and say, do that, copy that, because it's the practice that helps you get better. And the more you practice without the pressure, the better you can be. And being prepared is so important, because if you're not prepared, you turn up for that job and you're more panicking about not being prepared than doing the job. And you don't need that sort of pressure when you're going to work on those sorts of jobs. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to think of anything else. The education, you can be self-taught, but make sure you, and here's my particular tip, make sure you can do it all. You need hair training. You need to be able to do eyebrows. You need to be able to work on ethnic skins. That turned out to be a bit of a speciality of mine, because when I was doing my makeup training, one of the girls on the course was an Asian girl, and she gave me some amazing tips about how to do Asian makeup really well. And it was an element that, you know, if you're, for example, a white makeup artist and you're sitting down to work on a black model or an Indian model or someone who's like a mixed race, and you're thinking, this is a really interesting skin color, and you're looking at your kit like, I don't have a color for that. You know, I used to master blend my colors. I used to work literally like an artist would. I'd be able to take different pigments and blend, and it would be perfect for that person. So that I strongly encourage that to be an aspect of how people work, because you don't want to be turning up thinking, I haven't got the right colors for this person. And it's horrible. It's embarrassing. You know, you're not making that the model or actor or whoever it is feel good, because they're like, I don't want to look like that. And don't be put off anything that scares you. Literally just put your head into it, because once you've figured it out, you're going to be probably better than the next person about it. So don't get scared off. If something scares you, throw yourself into it, get good at it. And that's just positive attitude, really. So,
Nicki Arter, makeup artist, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Good luck to everyone.